Well, my time in Cambodia is just about coming to a close, and I thought I would tell you about my thoughts here on Cambodia and some things I wasn't expecting, and also just kind of give you a rundown of what I felt about Cambodia and also Phnom Penh. So let's go, guys. Now, I have a very late flight, 11:40 p.m. and that means I have basically a bunch of dead time between now and the flight. It is like roughly 4:30, 5 o'clock right now. So figure spend as much time as I can here in Phnom Penh before I gotta get on another plane. So that leads me to point one. Because I've got like basically 5 hours to do nothing, I asked the hotel folks if I could leave my bags with them. I'm staying at the Marriott there, and they were like, of course. I get to chatting with one of the hotel managers, and turns out they're having a Filipino food fest in the Marriott. They took me up to the Filipino food fest. I met Kid Flomatic, which is a local Cambodian rapper here, and a bunch of other Filipinos. And this leads me to point one, which is people in Cambodia are super, super friendly. So the friendliest people I've ever met were Filipinos, like to this day. But I gotta say, like, Cambodians are really, really up there. I don't want to rank it because it's just whatever. But everybody here has been so kind, smiley, friendly, nice to me as a tourist. And I wasn't really sure what to expect. I didn't know much about Cambodia before I came here. But absolutely, some of the friendliest people I've met have been right here in Phnom Penh, even more so than Siem Reap, I would say. I mean, people are very friendly in Siem Reap, but specifically in Phnom Penh, just from the minute I got here, yeah, very hospitable, friendly people here in Cambodia. So then point three is the money situation. So it's very interesting because Cambodia is dollarized. I've talked about this before in some of my other Cambodia videos, but like, for the most part, you can spend your US dollars here. The problem with it is it needs to be a certain type of dollar. So if it's an older dollar, like 1996, or even sometimes before 2010, you're not gonna be able to use your dollars here. So the money also has to be in pristine condition to use your dollars here. So that was kind of annoying. It is dollarized, but it's got to be the right dollar, basically. So I wasn't really expecting that, truthfully, was not. And then the other thing is, like, the costs, as we're talking about money, I would say it's pretty cheap here, honestly. Some of the cheapest beer I've ever had is here in Cambodia. Right up there with Vietnam in terms of, you know, beer here is like 75 cents for a beer, which is insane. Very cheap. Food, I would say, is pretty reasonable. It's cheaper than Thailand, I would say. Not by much, but Thailand's already cheap. It's cheaper than Thailand. I would say accommodations way cheaper. Yeah, so definitely cheap food, cheap beer, cheap accommodation. And yeah, it's interesting. You can use your dollars here, but I would really recommend that you use your Khmer Reel here, because it's just easier. So that leads me to point three, which is, interestingly enough, at certain points here in my trip, I accidentally kept saying ringgit, which is the money in Malaysia. And I was thinking, why do I keep referring to the money as ringgit? Well, riel and ringgit are kind of similar, but no. The reason is because Cambodia is very much a melting pot, like Malaysia. You will see people from all over Asia here, much like in Malaysia. They say Malaysia truly Asia because Malaysia has all sorts of different cultures within it. But in Cambodia, it is predominantly Buddhist, but you also have got a very large Muslim population here. You do have some Christians, and there are people from all over Asia from here. So this is definitely a melting pot experience. I would say a diverse mix of cultures here in Cambodia, and that was very, very nice and a very good experience for me as a traveler here in Cambodia. In some ways, this is kind of point number four. Cambodia reminds me of a smaller Vietnam, at least Phnom Penh. Phnom Penh in particular reminds me of a small Ho Chi Minh City. You see a lot of the bikes, the bike culture here. There's definitely some traffic. The food in Cambodia, I would say, is closer to Vietnamese than it is Thai. but there is a very clear crossover. And so I guess the next point is, I already talked about how it's a melting pot here, but it's also a cross of cultures, I would say. But it is very much its own culture. Not to downplay Cambodian culture at all. It is still very, very much its own culture. As you know, I stand right here by the Royal Palace. This reminds me of the Vietnam-style street food right here. I mean, look at this traffic too, right? Point number 4, I think I'm on 4, maybe 5. You'll have to keep track. I don't remember. Next point is Cambodia is a lot more developed than you might think. So I have talked about this at length in my last 2 series, Laos and now Cambodia. But Cambodia is still considered to be one of the UN's LDCs, or least developed countries. It is up for review to be graduated out of that, and I think it will be. Okay, there are massive shopping malls here. There's a huge skyline. You know, there are luxury places to shop, to eat, to drink. There's like a crazy jazz club, international jazz club here. There's a lot going on here. And I would say that you might be surprised at how developed Cambodia is if you kind of have some sort of preconceived notion about Cambodia like I did before you came here. I would say definitely a lot more developed than I was expecting. Yeah, and I would say it's even comfortable here. I also have noticed that there are quite a few foreigners here, by the way. And that ties perfectly into the next point, which is I am making the prediction right now. Cambodia is the next hotspot in Southeast Asia. I don't know how long this is going to take. I don't think it's going to take long. People are going to be moving to Cambodia, and this will be expats. This will be people my age. I'm 31. This will be digital nomads, people who like to arbitrage their Western income and live in other countries. People are going to be coming here because it seems like Cambodia is on the rise. It's on the up and up. And like I said, there's so much going on here. I think Cambodia is Southeast Asia and maybe even Asia's next hotspot. I literally just hit the off button on the camera, but I was just walking. See, I don't know if you can see them down there. Walking by, give me a smile. Hello, welcome. Man, I really like it here. People are super friendly, super smiley, super happy. They want you to be here, it seems. And yeah, there also seems to be this notion that Phnom Penh might be a little dangerous or sketchy. No, I haven't had that issue at all. It's the same way I feel about Manila. Statistically, maybe, but as a traveler, as a foreign traveler, I haven't had any issues here. Now, if you go clubbing, I don't know. Maybe your drink gets spiked. I don't know. Maybe, but yeah, if you're out by yourself, like really late at night, maybe your GoPro gets snatched. I don't know, but I've got about 2 hours. I was thinking about getting a cheap beer and maybe a small bite here. But let me see if there is music playing. Yeah, does this not remind you of Vietnam? The music was too loud and it didn't really seem like anything I really wanted there. All right, here seems to be a spot with basically no music, and I can get something small, so I will go here. Great. All right, got my 75-cent Angkor beer. Cheers. Man, I don't know if it's because it's 75 cents or what, but it just tastes good. Can't beat it. So then the next point here that I would like to make is the English speaking and the customer service, or just the service industry here, is very, very good. Most people I have noticed speak English. Again, it's not at Philippines level, but it's very high. I have not had any issues with language or anything like this, and the customer service has been very, very good. So it's like Filipino style customer service, where I still put the Philippines as the highest level of customer service that I've experienced, but this is very high. Got some spring rolls here. My favorite beer snacks, I guess is what I would say. Can't beat pork spring rolls with the chili sauce. So good. That is the next point, which is for most of my trip here, I have been dealing with some very bad traveler's diarrhea. I don't know if it's food poisoning or what. I've been able to sort of manage it, but I would say like I probably wouldn't eat street food here. I know that's unpopular. I know a lot of people do, but yeah, I kept it pretty safe for most of this trip because, yeah, it's just, it was a real thing. Now I did eat loklak, which was a really good Khmer dish, or Khmer dish, and yeah, I definitely really enjoyed that. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So my shoes were all dirty from Angkor Wat, and actually, he got them pretty good, I gotta say. Perfect. It was like $1. Can't beat that. Well, I usually don't drink before flights, but it's an 11:40 p.m. flight, so what am I gonna do now? And when am I gonna have another anchor? I don't know, truthfully. So, cheers. All right, a few beers later, a few appetizers later, and what I will say is for the last point is Cambodia has a very tragic history, and despite that, it's growing at a rapid rate, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, it's growing pretty quickly. And despite its tragic past, it doesn't prevent people from being very friendly and prevent you from having a good travel experience here. So I will leave you with the footage that I was able to get from my time visiting the killing fields here in Phnom Penh. I highly recommend that you put the killing fields on your list, not because it's necessarily fun, but because it's a sobering experience, and part of travel is learning the history of the area you're traveling in. So I'll leave it to you there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Peace. Hello, killing fields? Okay.
Hello.
Hello, sir. How are you? Good. During the mid to late 70s here in Cambodia, during Pol Pot's communist rule with his Khmer Rouge, this group committed a mass genocide of over an estimated 2.2 million Cambodians. During that time, there were an estimated 300 killing fields, which serve as execution sites for the genocide that was committed. Among them, the most prominent or well-known killing field is Chon A, which is where I am now. And the reason it's well-known or prominent is because of its proximity to Phnom Penh. Today we will go inside the Chon A killing field. We're about 8.9 to 9 kilometers outside of the city center of Phnom Penh. And you know, sometimes travel is about experiencing this sort of thing. And there's no way I could have come to Phnom Penh and not visited the killing fields, as awful as I think it will be. This is something that I feel like I wanted to experience. So let's go inside, guys. Okay, guys, so I was given this headset here. Press number 1 to start. I think that says French. English? This is French.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. All right. Usually I don't do the audio stuff, but we're gonna go for it today. Okay, this is the first stop. It's just a truck stop. This is where the victims were transported from here, this killing field, to S22, which is Tol Slang. I'll be going there next. I do want to see what is in here. You do have to take your shoes off. Not really following it in order, but oh wow, look at this. So terrifying. Very sad. Look at this, just rows of skulls that go up there, guys. And between 20 and 40. I think I'll learn about this more, but the group that Pol Pot's targeted was just young people and like people of working age, I think. Awful. Yeah, I thought I had read this, but basically, if you wore glasses, if you had soft hands, if you spoke a foreign language, if you were a doctor or a scientist or a journalist, you were a victim. You were not part of the group. Yeah. Wild. So to this day, you can still see bones, remains, cloth from the genocide. Fragments. Here's one of them. I think one of the most messed up parts about that is after the Khmer Rouge was driven out of Phnom Penh, they fled basically to the border of Thailand, and Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge were given a UN seat. Like, basically Pol Pot just lived a normal, happy life. And I'm telling you, I visited a lot of things in my travels over the past year. You know, for example, Hiroshima, went there, that was awful. This one might be the most grotesque that I've heard. And actually, there's an estimated 3 million Cambodians that were killed. What I read online was 2.2, but no, it's 3. Some of the things that you hear on this tour just unbelievable. Like, just how a person could do that. It was humbling. It was a humbling experience, that is for sure. I don't understand the UN seat. I'm gonna have to read more about that. Like, what is the point? Alright, my guy should be here waiting. Actually got him from Grab, and he was just like, do you want to ride back? So worked out. Alright guys, so we're now at the jail, S21, where people were transported from the killing field. Fancy. Alright. Well guys, I'm just gonna probably walk around this area here and then see where the video goes. Not exactly sure, but this is a very, how do I say, depressing type of thing. But you know, you, as a part of travel, you should experience stuff like this because it's good to enrich yourself and also see the local side of what happened. And you know, this is part of what happened here. So you're also supporting whatever efforts have gone into preserving this by purchasing a ticket. So this is the Genocide Museum. God, that was one of the most brutal things I've seen. One of the most chilling things I've experienced. That one particularly, that was tough.